Hello, everybody. Gage says it's empty. Let's go see what's in the fridge today. Hey guys, thanks for stopping by Gregsbeerreviews today. Today's beer comes from Odell Brewing. This is their Jolly Russian, and they're out of Fort Collins, Colorado. It says commercial description here: bridging the Baltic and Caribbean seas. Jolly Russian is a rich Russian Imperial Stout, stowed away in rum barrels for aging. Ooh. Dark as night and thick as the raging sea, this brew boasts notes of coffee and cocoa with waves of oak, spiced molasses, dry fruit, vanilla from the planks. It's dangerously delicious. It says it's 13 point. Let's see if I see it on the bottle here. 13.3% by volume. Whew, this is a big boy's beer. And this comes from Brandon C. down in Texas. And he always puts his tape on there to help protect it while he's shipping it. So this ought to be a great beer for the final beer of the evening, which it is for me. And guys, a lot of the beer companies that I reviewed in the first couple of years that I did beer reviews, and these guys were one of them. I found them to be very transitional. And as with a lot of them, like the one we did yesterday from Peak Organic, they have stepped up their game and they're brewing something a little tastier now. I'm sure they still do some of the transitional beers, but they are brewing some beers for the seasoned craft beer drinkers now, and not something quite so transitional. So if you've been drinking craft beers for a while and you're into the bigger beers or the more hoppy beers, these guys are catering to those of us that are like that. So 13.3%. This is a big beer, a sipper, if you will. So and it looks like on this label. I don't see a date. They've got a little blue barcode on the side of the bottle, but there's nothing printed on it. I don't know if it has a printed on date somewhere on the bottle. We'll take a closer look when I come back and see what we got. I read you the commercial description, so we'll run over to the food pairing. It says general chocolate dessert digestive. Glassware at a pint or becker, non tumbler or snifter. I got my favorite snifter. And it says can be solid for a long period. At 13.3%, I would believe that 100%. So Brandon C., thanks a bunch, my brother, sending this to me. Oh, it's pitch black coming out of the bottle. Look at that. Let's go down the center. No head at all. None. So, over to the light, there is none. It's pitch black, guys. It's dark as night. No moon, no stars, nothing. Black. Black, black, black. Black on black. Looks good, though. Looks like a very nice Russian Imperial Stout, aged in rum barrels. Let's see if we can detect any rum. It's got a nose on it. Oh, yeah. Now, the rum is not overpowering it. I can detect it, but it's not up in your face in the driver's seat. Smells very good. I'm getting some molasses, maybe some hints of some dark fruit, rich caramel and burnt malt. Smells very good. A very nice beer to finish up the evening, probably. Let's give it a taste. Cheers, everybody. Cheers, Brandon. That That is very, very tasty, guys. Like I said, these guys, they used to do some transitional beers. They have stepped up their game. They're brewing, they probably still are brewing those transitional beers just to get their micro lagers over into something with a little bit better taste. But they're also brewing bigger beers and better beers for the seasoned craft beer drinker. Ever so slightly, hints of the rum, vanilla, bittersweet chocolate, dark fruits, roasted, almost to the burnt, probably burnt characteristics of the malt. Very delicious. A great beer to fire up a Maduro wrapped cigar to go with this exceptionally well made dark beer. 13.3%. Drink this one at home, guys. Or have a designated driver if you're drinking it out in a bar or a brew pub or anything like that. Wow. 13.3%. Yep. Might have a buzz when I get back. Alright, it's right out of the fridge. Let me let her have a taste 2 or 3 and go out and hit on that cigar for a couple of 3, 4, 10, 20 times and sip on this one for about 30 minutes or so and see where we end up. Very impressive. Very, very impressive. Alright guys, I'm back. I've been sipping on about 35, 40 minutes or so. Very tasty beer. I looked at the bottle when I got back. There is no vintage on it. And to be honest, Beer Advocate said it's a beer that is retired, no longer being brewed. So evidently they only done this beer one time, and you may be able to go to their website, which I'd never do, to see when it was actually done. But being a 13.3%, it's not going to go bad. But I would like to see them, if they only done it one time, why not put the vintage on the label? Makes no sense to me. So that's probably going to cost them a grade point. They are to put 2013, 2014, 2016 on the label if they're only going to do it one time. Why not? Why not? I don't know. But it is a very tasty beer. Rich roasted malt, almost to the burnt. It is to the burnt characteristics. Hints of some coffee, dark fruit, molasses, hints of vanilla from the rum barrels, slight hint of the rum. The rum is not overpowering this beer at all. So they probably did not leave it in those barrels very long. But it is very, very tasty. Very impressive beer from these guys at Odell. Like I said, I have done some of their beers earlier in the beer review, probably 3, 4, maybe even 5 years ago. And I found them very transitional for their regular beers. But this is not their regular beer. This is something that was done whatever year it was done, whether it was 2016, 2015, 2014, I'm not sure. Another reason why we need to have the vintage on there, this was done in 2014, they only done it once. Be nice to have that information, so let's do the final chug. Ever so slight hints of a bourbon or a rum barrel aged beer. Very balanced to me. Very tasty beer to me. Definitely an A category beer to me. If I could get this beer here, I would buy this beer. But don't think a lot of Odell beers come here, especially this big of a beer. Now, their transitional beers do show up here occasionally, and they're not at the Kroger store or anything like that. You have to actually go to a place like the Barrel Chest, where out there where Martin and the guys are at, to get these kind of beers, because Kroger don't carry them. They just don't. And the ones they do carry are usually been sitting in the warehouse for 2 or 3 months before they even put them out on the shelf. The Two Hearted Ale that I'm a big fan of and used to buy regularly, it was my go-to double IPA. It finally showed up here with the new label in the Kroger store down here near my house, which is about 2 miles away. And it had the new label on it, but it was 7 weeks old with a new label. And I'm not going to buy that beer when it's a week from 3 months old. Not. And we went over to the Lakeside Kroger's, which is about 6 miles away, and they usually have a little bit better beer selection, and they still had the Two Hearted with the old label on it. So how old was that? It didn't have a date on it. I mean, that beer was 4, 5, 6 months old. So the beer distribution in Virginia is horrendous. It is horrendous. The people that are in charge of the distribution of those beers here need to have a noose put around their neck and hung from a tree out in the yard. So, not a fan of the beer distribution going on in Virginia. So, it's horrible. And all you guys that can buy beers that are 2, 3, 4, even 7 days old at your stores, this guy doesn't experience that at all. In Virginia, it's horrible. It is freaking horrible. I cannot find a beer in any of the Kroger stores that's less than 2 months old. And usually it's even older than that. So it's a very sad day as far as I'm concerned, as far as getting fresh beers, especially in the IPA or double IPA range. Now beers like this is going to keep for a while. So that's another reason why I want to see a vintage on it. And I harp on this all the time, guys, and a lot of people say I harp on it too much. But I'm going to keep harping on it because that's my cup of tea. You need to print on the bottle or on the label how old the beer is. Whether it's an IPA or a Russian Imperial Stout aged in rum barrels, put the vintage on it. So we'll know. But as far as IPAs or double IPAs, when you go in the store and it's 2, 3, 4, 6 months old, what's up with that? And there's plenty of people who don't look at that stuff. I mean, that's why they keep doing it. Because if they didn't, it would sit on the shelf and they'd have to come get it and take it off the shelf. And more than likely, they would replace it with Budweiser, Miller, or Coors. Because that beer didn't sell. Even though it was 3 months old, 4 months old, 6 months old, it didn't sell. Well, imagine why. People that have an ounce of brains in their head and they're looking for IPAs or double IPAs and the beer is 4, 5, 6 months old, we're not going to buy it. And I'm not going to buy it anyway. So it's horrible in Virginia. It really, really is. So enough about that. Guys, I do think this is an A beer. I would like to see a vintage on it that keeps them from getting the 10. But I do think it's a 9 out of 10. Because you can sell this beer. It's a 13.3%. It's going to keep for a long time. But if you want to do a side-by-side down the road, they may do it again. Who knows? Who knows? A lot of these breweries, they'll do a beer brewed once, and then 2 or 3 years down the road, they'll do it again. And the recipe will change a little bit. The ABV will change a little bit. So that's why we want the vintage on it. So we can, if we do decide to do it again, we can do a side-by-side. This is a 2013, this is a 2017, and we're going to do a vertical side-by-side. So, over to Beer Advocate, they say 91, another A score there. And over to Rate Beer, they say 99 overall and 88 in the style. So another A number from them. And for our final check-in, we'll run over to Untapped, and Untapped has it at 4.25. Awesome numbers from those guys. It doesn't get a whole lot better than, I don't think I've ever seen anything better than a 4.5%, because they average out all these scores that these guys do the reviews on over at Untapped. So very nice numbers. Very nice numbers. All it takes is one guy to say I didn't like it, and that brings the number down. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But everybody's got it in an A category, and I do too. So it's a very tasty beer. A great beer for the final beer of the evening, which it is for me. Dinner's about ready. I'm getting ready to go have that. So if you've had this one from Odell Brewing Company out of Fort Collins, Colorado, this is their Jolly Russian. 13.3%. Big boys beer. It's a sipper. Drink this at home or have a designated driver, guys. So if you've had it, let me know what you think. If you liked it, didn't like it, and come on back tomorrow. Let's dig something tasty out of the fridge. See everybody then.